Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to 999, the Nonary game, the first of the Nonary games. Uh, I kind of hate having to do this, but I'm going to have to go back to the other room that we're searching, or in the second escape the room puzzle, even though it's not really labeled that way. It's just kind of not being labeled at all right now. Of course, the reason I don't want to go back is because left alone, Junpei and June had rather awkward interaction. June seems to be, at the very least, a little bit crazy. She clearly had knowledge of astrological signs, which is a bit of a red flag, but sure, I could understand overlooking that. But then she also believes in curses, particularly that the Titanic was cursed by having the frozen body of a Egyptian priestess named Amon-Ra on board, and that it wasn't, and that there's just some weird story there that maybe is a localization translation issue. But then she's also kind of fantasizing about potentially sleeping with Junpei in the middle of this Saw murder puzzle, and she's taking nothing really as serious as much as she should, and she's kind of flips between kind of flirty teasing with Junpei, and it's just off. It just feels really off in this story, and I don't know if that's because this is the creator of the game is a little crazy. Hey, we've seen plenty of Japanese video game creators that are a little crazy and do weird things. Half of Death Stranding, for example. So maybe June is not going to turn out to actually be as big of a threat or just weird element. Meanwhile, in this room, we were able to talk to the dancer and the silver-haired guy, and the silver-haired guy gave a much more still kind of a crazy conversation to do some characterization on him, talking about how he hates the number 4 almost pathologically, because he wouldn't even hold onto a bookmark with a 4-leaf clover, and he hates the number 4 not because the number 4 is pronounced the same way as the word death in Japanese, which is probably what he really said, but in this localization he hates the number 4 because it's a middle of the road number between 0 and 9 when playing Baccarat, which is a game I'm not familiar with. It seems like, from it being slightly explained, it's kind of a dumbed down gambling game designed to make it so that people feel like they have more control over losing their money than they really do. But unfortunately, we have to go into the bathroom, and in the other room, click on a specific tile that we found by finding a shower curtain with a hole in it that told us which tile in the bathroom to look behind, to get the 4th piece of the puzzle for this painting, to put the painting together. And we are jumping between lines like this where Santa won't talk, and then the important dialogue where he will talk. I feel like that's kind of a half-butted remaster, as it were. Like, either the full game had originally on the DS had no dialogue, which is very possible that it didn't have any dialogue at all, but why not just do the full line of dialogue voiced? It's not even much of a difference. It's usually yeah, you really shouldn't leave June by herself. It's usually 2 or 3 sentences. What do you think, you're her knight or her protector or something? You're creeping me out. Whatever, man. I'm going. So, she also said that this picture that looks just like an abstract picture to me is like a monster with an elephant trunk sucking the brains out of a human. It just seems really crazy. So it was 5th from the top, so what would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3rd from the right. In the bathroom in Lotus's room, I saw a particular tile when I looked through the hole in the shower curtain. Maybe if I look in the same place here. Alright, now was it? 5th from the top, 3rd from the right. I don't think you actually even have to click on the right one, and it seems like it's kind of counting the 6th. Oh no, it would be the 5th from the top. Oh, I was counting from the bottom. I guess if I paid attention, it would be easier, wouldn't it? Here's June again. I think she might get very clingy very fast. Remember, she's just your childhood friend from elementary school who you haven't seen in many, many years, and all of a sudden she's fantasizing about you guys sleeping together. It's weird. It's really weird. Maybe she did have a crush or realized she had a crush on you as the years went on. But that does just open up the door that she might very well be Zero, and she might very well be doing this to get close to you. Oh, so she goes, "What are you doing, Jumpy? Oh, sorry. Could you be quiet for a minute? I don't want to forget this." Question mark. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3rd from the right. Here it is. Yes, this one's loose. I think I can get it under this with my nails, and yes. Now that's weird that you would have to use your fingernails and it wouldn't just kind of pop out or fall out, or there wouldn't be some kind of tool to ensure you could get it, because that does open the possibility of a scenario where you couldn't get your fingernails under the tile, and then you couldn't solve the puzzle that clearly Zero wants you to solve. So now we have 3 pieces of the puzzle, and it will just become a matter of being able to try and memorize this photo. I wish there was a camera ability. Let's see. If we look here, there's seemingly no way to rotate things, nor to particularly identify the 2 images that are at the bottom. The top one does have the tile on it, which is slightly helpful, but not super helpful. So to me, this just looks like abstract imagery. So I could say in the lower right corner we have a white fox, and I wish I could draw on the screen to kind of highlight that. And then in the top right corner we have a white letter E, and in the top left corner we have a round black blob, half moon. And that's about all I think we can do. The exit. Lotus and Santa are in the room on the other side. I'm gonna go check on them. So yeah, we're just trying really hard to avoid dealing with her. Should be able to solve this. The question is this gonna open some kind of secret vault behind the image? I guess. This feels very touchscreeny. So here's the white fox, so let's swap those. And this is the round bear. Okay. So that was easier than it needed, than I thought it was going to be. And then you have a button here just labeled off, which is weird. It just starts glowing. Yes, I did it. I kind of thought there'd be some dialogue there. There, picture complete. And there goes the frame. What's this? What do you mean, what's this? Pretty obvious, isn't it? It's a hole in the wall. Like a hidden safe or something. Remember, Santa mentioned a hidden safe being in the cupboard in the other room, which does almost betray that he may have had some foreknowledge of there being hidden safes to look for. It seems like every character very well could have been given a note or a bit of information, but then it seems kind of unfair that our character, Junpei, was not given any extra information unless we search our pocket and find something out. It'd be really funny if at the end of the game we searched our pocket and it found a note that said, "You are Zero, you did this, you just don't remember because you drugged yourself." This feels like dialogue that definitely should have been voiced. Anyway, let's take a look. I think there's something inside. Yes, of course, there's the key so we can be done with this area. Whoa, this is one of the Mars symbols. The door at the end of the hallway. It has the same symbol engraved on the keyhole. Then that's gotta mean, yes, we can use this key to get through that door. Good, because there's not really a lot more to look at.
What's the deal with this picture anyway?
That's an interesting question. Looking at the positive space, the white parts, I don't see anything. Like, I really don't. Let me see if I can turn my head one way or the other and see if I can make out something. Looking at the negative parts, there's an X in the middle of the screen. But it doesn't look like much else either. It could be an attempted abstract depiction of the Titanic being crashed. It's gonna be really weird if somebody gets something from this, because I'm getting absolutely nothing. This just looks like abstract minimalist art to me.
I think I've seen this picture before.
Okay, Lotus, please inform us.
Where?
Maybe this is a famous Japanese picture. That might be the case, and then that would certainly explain quite a bit.
In a book. There's a British biochemist named Sheldrake. He has a rather interesting theory.
Okay, so we know Lotus reads books, and apparently sometimes books written by British biochemists.
I saw this picture in his book.
Is this supposed to be a revelation that we've all been poisoned on top of having a bomb put in our stomachs?
What's this interesting theory?
What would probably be a very small bomb in pill form?
Morphogenetic fields, which relies on the theory of morphic resonance.
Okay, these are big words. Now, maybe in Japanese, these wouldn't be as big words, but they'd still be pretty high concepts.
Man, I can't deal with this. Just listening to you talk about it is giving me a headache.
I'm kind of with Santa on this one. But she is the one that overthinks things, so if any character in this game is going to have a higher level of knowledge than me as the player, it's going to be her.
It's not a difficult concept to grasp. In essence, he states that the shape of living organisms and their behavioral patterns.
Yeah, there's a game called The Game of Life that kind of works around what I think she's talking about.
Are transmitted through a field not visible to the eye.
What part of that isn't difficult, exactly?
Alright, how about this?
See, this is kind of funny that Lotus is in this, like, belly dancer outfit, and yet she seems to be the smartest person in the room. Breaking the stereotype, I suppose.
Theory of the telepathic mechanism.
Yeah. Well, we are getting deeper and deeper into more fiction than science.
Telepathy?
I guess I am glad that none of the Saw movies up until this point have tried to implement any idea of magic or telepathy happening. Although a little bit of magic might clean up their storyline a little bit more.
Yes, telepathy.
In particular, the fact that they're finding it more and more difficult to keep the main bad guy in the story.
Well, perhaps not exactly telepathy, but it's close enough for a simple approximation.
Are you serious? Telepathy?
I still would take a conversation with Lotus about telepathy over half of those awkward conversations with June. Yeah, I really just can't get on board with a romance path and a romance story in this game. That's just not what it's sold itself on. There's plenty of romance visual novels that, assuming they maintain YouTube family friendliness, I'd be more than willing to play. And I even covered an adult game called Honey Pop that was all about finding adult relations and creating adult relations, to put it in a family friendly way. So I have no problem with that if that's the goal of the game. I just think it's really weird. It'd be the equivalent of a romance story being thrown in the middle of a Halo game. And there probably is a little bit of romance there, but it's not something that you really control. That might even be a slight problem with the Mass Effect series. Although I would argue the problem with the Mass Effect series in general is that the shooting part of that game was the less interesting part, and the interaction with people part was more well received.
Who do you think we are? Kids from the 70s?
So if they say kids from the 70s, that at least gives us a timeline here. So we could always be in an alternate reality, but we know we're at least not in the 70s, and we assume that is the 1970s and not the 18 or 1670s.
I can't believe someone would actually do serious research on something like that.
Yeah, and I don't think that this world would be too far from a present day timeline. So he probably does mean 1970s.
Yes, I agree. I read the book, but I can hardly say I understood it.
I kind of want to say I think morphogenic fields were more of a kind of mathematical probability way of explaining how, on a large scale, if you average things out, single cell organisms tend to interact with each other. Different types of single cell organisms and such tended to interact with each other, as if there was some grand thought behind it, when there really wasn't. But it really was more just a extremely long chain of cause and events. But I'm guessing a lot there.
I'm in no position to defend or condemn anything it said.
Yeah. See, and this is why Lotus is just a way better character to talk to than June, because June was all in on the mummy curse of the Titanic.
It was probably just someone latching onto a statistical outlier from some study and turning it into a ridiculous theory.
Yep. I totally believe a few scientists have done that in their past.
There's no scientific merit to any of it, I'm sure. But even so,
what we are seeing here on a greater scale is it does seem like each of these characters are getting items placed in the puzzle rooms to potentially trigger a memory or a conversation. Otherwise, these rooms should just be completely bland and there should be no offshoot red herring conversations. It really should just be everybody scared for their life and realizing that time is ticking by the second and they need to escape.
Anyway, I saw a picture like that one in his book. Hey, what do you think this picture looks like?
See, it seems like these conversations really just are going to boil down to, do I want to try and improve my relationship status with each of these characters? And if I play the game the way I'm probably going to play, I feel like I'm just going to end up to be friends with everybody and potentially end up sacrificing myself while saving a large number of the other people. But that's the way to play it, really, is to just try to be friendly with everybody and keep everybody happy, avoid fights. There's really no reason I would see to argue. And from a Japanese game perspective, that's definitely what Japanese people do. They go with the flow and they don't argue and they just agree or say sorry even if they don't mean it.
What do you mean? Isn't it just like abstract or something like that?
Yeah.
It's just black and white scribbles. There's no meaning there. That's it.
What about you, Junpei? Does it look like anything to you?
It kind of looks like there's a giant dragon sitting on the perch, like maybe coming down on a graveyard.
I guess it looks like...
I can kind of see like a Charmander in the big blob in the middle. Alright. So I can choose a man's face. I have no idea what that... how you'd see a man's face. A butterfly. A koi fish. A dog. A small boat floating in a lake. And then Funya Rinpa. That's not translated, so I don't know what Funya Rinpa means in Japanese. So I can't even answer that question because I have no idea. Just completely unlocalized sentence, and it must be unlocalized because it was too hard of a concept to translate to English, because the Japanese kind of do love to have single words that mean a concept that would take several words to explain. I don't see any of those. Let's see. Do I see a man's face? Can I stretch my imagination and say I see a man's face? There is a man's face in the lower left hand corner, I guess. So we could say that. Do I see a butterfly? I guess maybe in the lower right hand corner you could maybe see a butterfly. Do I see a koi? Seems like somebody just abstractly drew all of these things. A koi fish, koi. Maybe. Do I see a dog? Yeah, if you primed, all this is mental priming. If you put the idea in someone's head, then a person's brain will make the image appear in almost any abstract image. The human brain is very good about finding patterns and seeing things when they really aren't there. That being said, I still kind of have a hard time seeing a dog. A boat. Oh, I do see the koi now. A lot of these things that are being suggested are just small sections of the image. A boat floating on a lake. The koi might be about floating on a lake. Sure, there's a decent number of points there. You could say that's what it is. And I guess I can't go funya. Funya. It would be Fu, and then nya, Nya, then rin, and pa. All Japanese letters are I think all of them are basically two symbols or two syllables, as it were, not symbols. But then they have some letters like ny, nya, and that those are combined when written in English into one syllable. Let's just go with the first one, I guess. We'll go with the man's face.
Man's face?
Like, I don't see a real problem with picking that. Like, that was the first thing I saw.
This is the head, and this is the nose and the mouth.
And notice he's not pointing anywhere on the map to show you where you would see the man's face if you had chosen that. I'm seeing a face. I would go as far as to say a man's face in the lower left-hand corner or quadrant.
Nope, you're wrong.
She is more than willing to disagree with you.
This is a dog.
She picked a dog. Okay. So if you were to go back and play the game a second time, would she say dog? Or does she just always pick something different? And do we at some point have to remember that she picked dog? Is this game trying to prime us to remember our choices in these conversations?
See? Like this.
Okay.
So,
I now see it. So it was a dog. Thanks. Did I just lose some kind of relationship points with Lotus because of that, or does it not matter? It's weird that this murder jigsaw game has choices you can lose with seemingly no consequences. I wouldn't be surprised if what they did is they took several real-world photos and then just brought it down to a black and white image and then overlaid and dragged and dropped several images. So I wouldn't be surprised if you had said dog, if she goes, nope, you're wrong, and she shows you something completely different and all the answers are in it.
now we know what it's a picture of, but I don't see how that helps us.
We see a picture of a dog. So is the story here that a dog got hit by a car and all these people were within the same area on the street and all these people were busy and just walked away? Is that the reason why one person is already dead and almost certainly several other people are going to be dead? Or is it maybe just that somebody killed a dog or didn't help a dog, but it's only one person that did that?
A TV show from Great Britain did an experiment once.
She seems to be very scientifically knowledgeable, which really then opens up the door for a sad statement here. If she is like a PhD or has a master's level in some hard science education, and yet the only money she can make and the only career she can have in Japan is to be a belly dancer. Unless she has like a PhD and works as a scientist and then just blows off steam belly dancing as her choice. That could also be the case.
They took two similar pictures. Both of them were difficult to identify initially.
Okay.
But once you figured out the answer, you couldn't see it as anything else.
Yeah, that's mental priming and mental lock-in, which if you get mental lock-in, in a game, then you can certainly miss a lot of solutions. For instance, I'm still not sure if there isn't going to be a part at the end where you just need the number 9 watch to unlock the 9 door, and that alone will let you escape.
These 2 pictures. The first was a woman wearing a hat.
Okay. That wasn't even an option unless it was that Japanese word.
The other one, well, to make it easier, let's just say it was this picture of a dog.
Okay.
So, their experiment.
By the way, how did she show me the picture of the dog? Like, that's the weirdness there. She either magically or telepathically just showed me that, or they just broke the believability of the story.
First, they sent the picture to other parts of the world outside the reach of British airwaves.
Okay.
To Ireland, the US, Africa, Europe, etc.
Okay.
Then, in each country, they gathered a number of test subjects, roughly 1,000 people.
Okay.
They were shown the 2 pictures and asked, what does this picture look like to you?
This is all interesting stuff, but it really feels like this is just stuff that the creator of this game read in an article and wanted to talk about. And this would make sense in a manga if you're just trying to stretch for time and go for like a 100-issue run or something like that. But it really doesn't feel like it makes any sense as far as this world and what's happening right now. This really just feels like they're wasting time. And yeah, I've definitely seen other Japanese creators do that. And even Western creators, like Bioshock 1 in particular, was definitely created from someone who had read a lot of Ayn Rand books and a lot of economic theory books and was obsessed about that, and he turned that obsession into the first Bioshock game and then eventually the trilogy of the Bioshock games. But he converted the new ideas he got into a new concept and a believable connected concept of a game, where this story is just talking about a idea that the creator collected without really matching it to the events that are actually occurring right now. I feel like I'm talking in circles, so let's go forward.
The results weren't really interesting on their own. 9.2% of the people saw the lady in the lady picture.
I still don't see a lady in that lady picture. Again, how is she showing any of this? This feels like you should have some fogginess around the edge to say that this is happening inside Junpei's mind. That would be better.
3.9% saw the dog in the dog picture.
Okay. So most people didn't see it.
Then, 2 days later, they aired a new program on their show.
Okay.
During the 30-minute show, they broadcast the dog picture and its solution.
Okay.
The audience was estimated to be 200,000 people.
Yeah, well, the BBC, they don't really have to report numbers so much, so take that, I guess, with a small grain of salt.
After the broadcast, it was a safe bet that the number of people who knew the solution to the dog picture was at least that many.
I think you're not accounting for people who forgot, but okay.
After another 2 days passed, they gathered more research subjects from areas outside the reach of British TV and radio.
So the idea here is that they implanted an idea in the populace of the British people, and that somehow memorphically, telepathically sent the solution to the people outside of British TV and radio. Not that perhaps word of mouth happened or that people were able to pirate British TV and radio. Although radio, I don't know how you say the solution on radio at all, since it's a visual puzzle.
This time, they only found a sample of roughly 850 people. Naturally, none of them had participated in the first test.
Yep, so that just means basically nothing. It can very well just be a statistical anomaly. They could have had a couple thousand bad participants before and really good participants now.
They were, however, given the same tests and the same 2 pictures.
Okay.
The results were startling.
I feel like this is a made-up story too. I don't feel like this really happened.
10% of the people saw the lady in the lady picture.
Okay.
The previous test sat at a 9.2% success rate. Not much of a change statistically.
Almost certainly if this really happened, it would have been simply done by cheating. Somebody fudging the numbers.
The dog picture, however, produced
Even
a very different result.
Even if it really did happen, what does it really prove? Basically nothing.
The percentage of people able to successfully find the dog. It went from 3.9% to 6.8%, a very significant increase.
But that is also 3.9% of 1,000 versus 6.8% of 850. And I wonder if all these numbers being thrown out again are just numbers there's going to be a solution to some puzzle later on. That would be insane to have to remember or write down all of these numbers. No way I would be able to do that. I could get a notebook and try, but I wouldn't ever waste my time on it.
So do you understand? Do you realize the significance of this experiment?
No.
There was no way the second group could have seen the picture.
There's plenty of ways that the second group could have seen the picture.
They lived far away from Britain and couldn't have seen it.
Sure they could.
But even so, it was only the success rate for the dog picture that went up. Why? How did that happen? What does it mean?
Oh, wait, does this have something to do with that field, or whatever it was that you were talking about earlier? A field not visible to the eye. So, if more people know the answer, then that information will pass through the field.
Now there is a real scientific concept where if you get a large enough sample size and ask people to guess on something that they would just have no knowledge about, they do fairly well compared to a single person who would be an expert in that field. So just common knowledge at a big sample size does tend to work fairly nicely, but I mean that doesn't really mean anything. It just goes to show that individuals are fallible, and you can, with a large enough sample size, get rid of the fallibility of individuals. I feel like maybe what they're explaining here is a concept that will explain how we rewind and potentially go back in time and play this multiple times. Maybe our solutions will just be memorphically put into the heads of previous versions of ourselves, or this might be an explanation as to what Zero is trying to test or prove. Maybe he's a believer in this concept. Maybe Lotus is Zero. Like Zero could be pretty much anyone, because we kind of didn't see the height and definitely didn't see the face, and we didn't really see the body, so like nobody's really excluded at this point. Even the blind guy, Snake, could easily be Zero, and then that could be the big reveal. He's not really blind.
Huh.
Too much of that, certainly. I like that. I like that she just said psych. She just made that whole thing up.
I was just kidding. You really shouldn't take me seriously.
This is totally not the time to be doing this, but I'm much happier that this was just a joke. But I mean, every scene you're seeing them wear the bracelet. The thing that's going to blow them up. Like, that seriousness should be felt in every scene, and it really doesn't. It feels like you've just got 8 kids just hanging out after school.
Well, I mean, the things I just told you about are true. They really did happen.
Okay, so explain yourself some more, please.
But the results of that experiment really aren't anything to go by. They could have easily falsified them.
Yep. That would be my guess.
In the end, I'm sure they were just in it for the ratings. They are a TV station after all.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the entire experiments were all faked and made up.
Right. Man, I gotta admit, you had me there for a minute.
It almost feels like Lotus is being laid out as a secondary romance option. And I guess she would be the only other romance option unless this game decides to go in an odd direction and potentially we have romance options with some of the guys. I don't think Clover is going to be a romance option really. And I doubt we would want to date Seven. Or probably not want to date Ace either.
I really thought you were serious.
But maybe then again in this game I'm supposed to pair up everybody. There are 8 people, so maybe in one way or another I'm supposed to make 8 couples of people that actually like each other and don't want to kill each other at the end.
Of course not.
And then we get another awkward little movement and then a bunch of
Like I told you before,
still imagery.
I'm sure it's all just pseudoscience.
Except for the lips moving
Oh, okay.
and the eyes blinking. Even that is pretty awkward animation because, you know, people move their heads, they turn their necks. So if either you're gonna just admit the game can't animate all of that, or you need to animate all of that. It's actually surprising that the live 2D technology that does gently sway the characters back and forth works as well as it sometimes does. Considering how it is just kind of a looping animation that is just stretching and morphing the image that's a 2D image over and over again. Man, though, certainly this goes long.
Enough nonsense.
This is still going really, really long.
We've got the key. Let's get out of here.
Feels like we should have been done with this first act. Well, or we could call this maybe the second act a long time ago. And the way this is being depicted, it seems like there's still a lot to be said. But yeah, if we were at this point where we're about to choose another door an hour ago, that would have been fine. This very well might be the death of me playing visual novels, if even a game that's relatively short and more unique than most of them, it goes on too long. There's really not a lot of hope for the super long games. Maybe I'll play like the top 3. That's always been my thought pattern, is things like Clannad as far as visual novels are just so relevant and so popular. If you have ever heard of visual novels and Clannad or Steins Gate, so there's reason to probably play those, but maybe not more than the top 3 or the top 10.
Word.
I don't know if there's a Japanese...
A field not visible to the naked eye.
I don't know if there's a Japanese equivalent to saying the word. It probably is just hi, yes.
Morphogenetic field.
I'm kind of glad that none of that conversation happened with June around, because June would have totally believed it and bought into it completely, and I fear for her mental health already. Santa says, alright, let's go to the hallway. I'll go get June. You guys head to the door. Okay. Roger that. So this would be weird if this is the point where we find out that Santa like kills June or finds her dead. Something along that line. We can't turn around, but we could look at the map. I don't know if that helped anything. Yes, it unlocked. Good job, Junpei. Good, now we can get going. Come on. What are you guys standing around for? Let's get out of here. It's a little weird that June didn't say anything, but okay. There she is. Come on, Jumpy, let's go. Alright, let's go. And so you have a different door opening animation, and it's not opening to a dark room. We found it and we got that little animation.
Oh, another
Good.
hallway.
So the question is, are we now going to have a whole bunch more dialogue, or is this just a secondary escape the room puzzle?
Come on, open!
This feels more like a death trap puzzle to me.
It's not going to open because you rattled it, you know.
So if the idea was to have 3 people left at the end that ended up, let's just see. What plus 5 gives us a digital root? She is 8. So, and we want to end up with 9. So, if we were going to go with Lotus and San, it gives us a 7. Which then would take Snake Eyes, I guess, also. So, that, if I wanted just 3 people, I don't know why I would choose just 3 instead of 5. Ideally, what you'd want to do is try to get the most amount of people, which that would, let's see, how can we do this? 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6, plus this is 10, which you can't do that to get to 9. Plus 8. There we go. So, I think that's probably the only solution you could do. Exclude 5, and then you can have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 8 escape. And that's 5 people. And that would leave the main player character. It would leave number 6, who is the girlfriend character, June. Number 7, who is Mountain. And yeah, nobody else. So yeah, best case scenario, if you're just gonna say the maximum amount of people that should survive, you want to kill yourself, your girlfriend, and the Mountain. You leave Lotus and Snake and Ace and Santa and Clover all free. If we were going to choose that, then we've got to kill our girlfriend right now, June. She's dead. She's the only one in that collection that you don't want to survive at the end. And that's how I would play it. I would just try to keep the maximum amount of people alive. And since 5 and 6 equal 11, we would need 8. So the only way this really works is I would have to, if I'm going to save June and myself, it would have to be me and Lotus and June for 3, or we'd have to add a couple more numbers to try and end up with 9 again, which I don't think you can do. No, I mean, you could get maybe 7 and 2 also. Let's try that one. And this is just more speculation than anything. So if we went 7 and 2 and 5 and 6 and 8. So that would be the blind guy, the mountain, June, me, and Lotus. That's a digital root of 1. So that's not right. What did I do wrong? Let's see. 5 and 6 and 8 is a 1. 11, 19. I'll get this. 6 and 5 would be 11. Plus that would be 19. Add the 2 together. It would be 10, and then I guess that would be 1. Alright, so we're 1 off. So 5 and 6 and 7 would work for 9. And then at that point, we could go 8 and 1, I guess. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 is 5 people at 9. So that would be the solution, I guess, to have the maximum number of people escape. This time is you would have Ace, and you would kill the blind guy, you would kill Santa, you would kill Clover, but you would save yourself, and you would save June, and you would save Mountain, and you would save Lotus. Yeah, so I guess there's 2 solutions there, and this is probably the solution we're looking for. Who do I kill here then? Santa, I guess. He's not in the picture.
Damn it!
Let's see what happens.
Look over here.
June.
Elevators. And the buttons.
I guess video game wise though, there's some slight logic to not want to kill yourself and lose control of the game, because then if the game was to continue to play itself without any player input, which this game barely asks for any player input anyways, there's no guarantee that the game would end up in the way you would want it to end.
Of course they don't work.
So, of the 2 choices that I think are probably legitimate choices here, I don't think you'd want to get rid of Lotus. It's going to come down to June or Santa, and I think Santa's gone.
The power must be out here too, just like by the staircase.
That leaves this door.
So, kind of a different kind of door.
Well, looks like we don't have any choice.
So let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Sure does.
And we're kind of jumping again between voice lines and non-voice
Well
lines.
then, let's open it.
It almost feels like they only voiced the lines of dialogue you would see if you're speedrunning the game,
Here I go.
following a walkthrough or something.
Oh, so it's a kitchen.
A kitchen that probably is suspiciously missing any knives or weapons, one would guess, because it feels like Zero gave the knife to number 9 and doesn't want other people to find weapons.
What were you expecting?
Isn't it obvious? The exit? I was hoping this would be the way out of here.
You really think it'd be that easy?
You can always hope.
Yeah, I know. Still.
If we can just get through this door, we should come out on the other side of that grate we saw earlier.
Then we have a whole different keycard system. And then he just said, instead of the line, but don't we need a key for that?
No good.
Yeah, this really feels like they had the voice actors in for like 1 day worth of recording when they needed them in for 2 or 3 days worth of recording. And just half finished voice acting.
Anyway, let's take a look.
So
Hey,
I don't think told anybody else about the map.
What's that?
And now they're gonna freak out about us having a map.
Huh? Oh yeah, I guess I forgot to tell you. I found this a little while ago. It's a map of the B deck.
let me see that. I knew it. See? Look.
Okay.
Yes, hold your horses.
What did you figure out?
This is handy.
See? We came in here. Now if we go out there, then we'll be on the other
They're
side.
not marking the map at all, so I have no idea what I'm even supposed to be looking at. Yeah, I have no idea where we would have been or where we started. Like, did we start in the far right center? Because those look like stairs. And are we making our way towards the left? Or did we start in the far left center? Because those look like stairs also. And we're making our way to the right. I don't see a hallway in either cases that really seem to line up with this map.
How about that? She's right. We can't get
Now
over
they
there.
mark it. Okay, but that still doesn't... I guess that means that we started in the far right center, and off the screen to the right was where we entered door number 4, and then the line at the top was the hallway, and the squares to the left that have the little door markings were the 2 doors we looked at. Okay. And then that implies, if we follow the path we're on, that we can either go back the way we came, which that would probably be door number 5, so that's how we're going to meet back together, is that everybody's going to be in the room between the 2 steel bars, and at some point maybe the steel bars will decide to crush us, and then whoever survives that, if that's what happens, will be in the lower center part, and then eventually I guess we'll make our way to the left part of the map and maybe be able to go up another floor, and I imagine we are going to end up going up a couple of floors.
There we go. Here, you can have it back.
Thanks.
Again, everybody's giving all the items to me. I don't
There's
know.
a card reader on the right side of the door.
I don't know why I'm the trustworthy guy. It would have been probably nice if they said you look like a trustworthy guy, or they had a quick vote to say who should be the leader. That would be better story and character creation if there was an argument to say, hey, let's all pick a leader. There's a real great way to pick a leader fairly quickly. It's real easy. All you do is have everybody stand in a circle, basically, and say, all right, at the count of 3, point to the person you want to be the leader. You can't vote for yourself. 1, 2, 3. Everybody has to point, and basically they do it on appearance, unless you have people give little speeches before that point, which it really wouldn't affect too much in any way. If there's a tie, then you have all the people that voted for somebody who wasn't involved in the tie pick between the 2, and that's fairly easy. You just say everybody stand there and continue pointing, unless you're pointing at somebody who wasn't in a tie. If you're pointing at somebody who wasn't in a tie, switch your vote. Keep on doing that. It's real simple and quick and easy, and pretty democratic. Although not really based on the actual qualifications of anybody, but what election really is.
And that means the key card is somewhere in here, right?
So we've got maybe a new escape the room, I guess.
That seems the most likely.
All right, we know what we need to do then. Let's get moving. First off, I say we split up and look for clues.
Okay.
So my guess here is we might split off in different groups. If we're going to be in groups of 2. Or we're just going to be individuals this time. Because we originally split off in groups of 2 and it was me and June, and it'd be kind of weird if they did that again. Alright, so this looks like a serving table. I would imagine food is put here after it's prepared so that waiters and waitresses can take it out to customers. Again, for a ship, it feels like you would kind of secure the dishes a little bit more, but something doesn't seem right here. Why are there so many plates? I was trying to click on this voucher. It says appetizer 9, meat dish 10, soup A, seafood dish F. So that's probably a hint. Let's see. That's the exit. There's a big iron plate over the door. I don't think we can open it. It's kind of far away. Can't really tell, but it is that ladle. I really don't think a ladle's going to be very useful. Alright. This partition splits the room on the right side of the wall. It's one of those swinging doors. You see them a lot in between kitchens and dining areas in restaurants. Without these doors, you need to run all the way around the partition to get to the other side. It's a really pain in the butt, huh? Well, I guess it's not really important, but still. Again, I just clicked on the wrong thing. Wow, this pot looks like it's made out of silver. I bet drinking tea from this pot would be really yummy. Spending a day off with June drinking tea. Could such a day ever happen for me? Jumpy? Oh, nothing. Seems like Junpei is wandering in the fantasy land too. Feels like it's fairly easy to just misclick things. If you were playing this on the DS, it would probably be fairly easy to miss even more things. Trash can, there's nothing inside. Well, better than being full of rotten food, I suppose. Nothing in here. Hey Santa, taking to the trash really suits you. What the heck did you just say? Listen, lady, I did you a favor. I knew you'd just piss and moan, so I did it for you. Oh my. I don't recall asking you to do anything. Arg, I'd have thought of you. Excuse me? That's a weird translation. Does it feel colder in here? I don't know if that's a reference to the room actually getting colder, or if that's a reference to her being cold. Is this some kind of drawer in which you put like charcoals or something? Oh, it's a drip tray. Fat and juices can drip off the meat while it cooks. So is this like a hanging meat cooker? No, you can't. I already checked, it's sealed shut. I think it's where the coal goes. getting a lot of feedback for looking, which kind of makes it feel like they are just wasting their time watching me do all the work. Okay. So that's the solution. So we need to figure out a way to put this solution in this. So seems like we've got some storage. And we've got something here. And we have a rusty knife.
Rusty knife?
Clearly that was an important object.
I don't think we'll be able to use it while it's like this.
It's futile.
It's futile.
Futile?
That's a big word for June.
You know, a waste, useless, pointless.
Oh. Any particular reason you wanted to bring that up?
You could probably clean a knife that's rusty and get it sharpened.
Oh, no reason really.
Wouldn't it be funny if June was the one receiving all the psychic images from solutions? Or if these people that we're talking with right now are getting hints and solutions from the puzzles in the other room from the other group, and everybody is somehow telepathically connected, but they're getting the signals crossed, and so they're throwing out hints for the puzzles that you're not seeing instead of throwing out hints for the puzzles you are seeing.
I was just thinking about futility.
Huh? Why were you thinking about futility?
Yeah, this really feels like the wrong time to be talking about this. I guess you don't have the timer going on, and there doesn't seem to be any actual time moving forward in the game.
Well, it has something to do with the Titanic.
And here we go.
The Titanic?
I'm gonna just try and sit back and listen, and I'm gonna just hit A.
Have you ever heard the story that the sinking of the Titanic was predicted?
She seems to be obsessed with the Titanic. Heck, if you've got one conspiracy theory about the Titanic, all okay, that's a little weird. If you've got two, man, that's straight up obsession. I have to say no, I haven't. Clearly she wants to tell me the story, and it would be ridiculous to say yes, I have.
No, I haven't. What is it?
I don't want to hear what she has to say, personally, but for gameplay reasons, I'll say yes.
In 1892, 14 years before the Titanic sank.
Alright, so that's a pretty long window for somebody to say something that could be retranslated and reinterpreted to be a prediction.
A novel was published.
Okay.
It was called Futility.
Great.
It was written by an American novelist named Morgan Robertson.
Plenty of ships sunk before the Titanic. 14 years before the Titanic.
The story was about a big cruise ship colliding with an iceberg and sinking.
I'm fairly certain there were stories that had been written about ships hitting icebergs and sinking hundreds of years before the Titanic happened.
Of course, if that was the only similarity, there wouldn't be any reason to mention it.
Okay.
It wasn't, though. The name of the ship, its nationality, course, departure time,
This is all made up.
size, displacement, maximum speed, number of passengers and crew, the number of lifeboats.
Okay, that's a lot of hard facts. If this was a true statement, that's a lot of hard facts to match. Like 2 or 3 points make a line. If you've got 6 or 10 points to compare, that seems like a actual prediction comparison there. But I imagine what probably happened is the book Futility, if this was a true story, which it probably isn't, was actually published after the Titanic sank, and they just lied about when it was released, or there was a mix-up in the copyright or something. 2 books by the same name, and in the historical records things got confused.
Even the location of the accident itself, and the cause, and the location of the damage.
Okay, Here's some red flags. The location of the accident itself, of where the Titanic sank and was not found for many, many years after the Titanic sank. Like in the late 2000s, I think. And the cause we kind of know from the survivors, and the location of the damage is kind of a generic idea.
Everything matches the Titanic almost exactly.
Little wiggle room there, almost exactly.
It was almost as if he'd seen the whole thing happen.
Even if this book was written and all of those facts were true, you'd almost certainly find out that he predicted 5 to 100 times more other elements that were wrong.
This book was written 14 years before the Titanic sank.
I would say that if this was a true story, it probably wasn't written 14 years before. The thing particularly in the West, and I'm sure Japanese newspapers also did this at the time, is in the West people just made up stories for the news. It was straight up fiction, like all kinds of garbage things. It would be a slow weekend. They'd need to put something in the newspaper. They'd say hero dog saves baby or something, and it's a good news story or an interesting story, so nobody questions it, nobody investigates it. Journalism has never been highly accurate anywhere in the world, and it was just straight up lies at certain points. So you could easily have had an incident where a newspaper wrote a story saying they found this book that was written 14 years before the Titanic that predicts it, and somebody would have published that.
But that's not all. It wasn't just futility that predicted the sinking of the Titanic.
No, it's going to be multiple books now. Perhaps in this universe these things did happen and there is just time travel in this game, and at the end we are going to get sent back 14 years before the Titanic sank, or even longer. Perhaps I have to do something that actually ensures the safety of these 9 people by sinking the Titanic and causing even more people to die. That would be weird. That'd be a weird choice, certainly. I'm gonna sink the Titanic and kill thousands of people to save 9.
There were 2 other similar stories written by a man named William Thomas Stead. Both of them before the accident.
If I was ever dating a girl like June, by the second conversation she would be like this. She would be out the door. This is just like, I am not willing to go on this roller coaster ride of insanity with you. I do not have an openness to believing these stories, and clearly they are a defining characteristic of June, really, because her 2 main stories have been these conspiracy theories. It's a little weird to see a conspiracy theorist in a game in general, and not have them turn out to be some kind of gun-toting nut that ends up being the bad guy, although maybe June is the bad guy.
One in 1886 and one in 1892. Stead wrote 2 stories that had striking similarities to the Titanic disaster.
If Stead really did write 2 stories that were similar, that just means he was a lazy writer and took one concept and wrote one story and then reused that concept to write another.
In one, 2 ships collided. Many of the passengers died because there weren't enough lifeboats. In the other, a ship collided with an iceberg and sank.
So she's really stretching it now that 2 stories combined, if you ignore all the parts that don't match, sort of match to the real world events.
I don't know. I mean, I'll give you that it seems a little weird, but
All I wanted to do is take the rusty knife.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't too uncommon for ships to hit icebergs back in the day, or even other ships.
Or not have enough lifeboats.
Right, I knew you'd say that. But what if Stead had some sort of special powers?
I'm slightly happy that Junpei is trying to put some sanity in these conversations.
To be more specific, what if he had the ability to do automatic writing?
Which would be going in a trance and then writing and not realizing what you're writing. They're just throwing out a lot of red herrings in the story. Boy, feels like I should have picked door number 5.
What? Automatic writing? Wait, are you talking about when someone's possessed by a spirit and then they write a bunch of stuff without knowing what they're writing?
I'm not sure if a lot of this isn't just being localized differently. Like, I doubt they would change the appearance of June, but yeah, if she had like a Shinto priest type outfit on, and she was the keeper of a shrine, and it was in her family for generations, and she was talking about a lot of those beliefs, like that would feel more commonplace for a Japanese story, and it would at least kind of ground why her beliefs would be this way, instead of her being obsessed about a Western sinking of a ship. Like, the Titanic affected the world, certainly, but I don't know why a Japanese person in particular would be so obsessed about the Titanic. And if she was going to be obsessed with the Titanic, her end point there would be that she watched the movie and really loved it and then did a whole bunch of research because of that.
Yes.
What do you mean, yes? That stuff's a load of bull.
Thank goodness.
But Jumpy, you said you believe in curses.
So apparently it doesn't matter what I choose in the previous decision, because I said I believe in curses, because he then immediately rejects her, and I don't know if he's rejecting this conspiracy theory because of some of my choices with Lotus and Santa, or if he was just always going to say this and I should have, in retrospect now, said I didn't believe in curses.
Come on, that's totally different.
Yeah, what Japanese people mean in curses might boil down to just the general idea of karma, and the general idea that there actually isn't like actual karma where it will actually come back on you if you do bad things, but you should kind of act that way for the betterment of all society. Which, that concept works, I think, for most people, is that you should probably do good things in the hopes that good things will happen to you and that you'll help society in general.
Okay, let's say, hypothetically, that automatic writing isn't a total load.
You don't have to come off that aggressively the second time.
These guys still couldn't have predicted the sinking of the Titanic. When this Stead dude wrote his thing, nobody had died on the Titanic yet.
Yeah, got a point there. Seems like it jumped there. Who the heck could have possessed him so he could write that stuff?
That's not it.
What's not it?
Seems like sometimes I might just be tapping the controller and jumping through a line. It would have been a little bit nicer if you had to kind of hold down the button for a few seconds to skip.
Stead wasn't possessed by a spirit.
Okay.
He was doing the possessing.
So he wrote the story, then he possessed the people in charge of the Titanic to force them to live out the story and crash the Titanic. Interesting thought.
What are you smoking?
This is the right response. It's like, now, it is in Japan highly unacceptable to do drugs. Certainly there are people that do it, and at the time mushrooms were legal, and people, creatives definitely did a lot of mushrooms then, but smoking marijuana and doing like cocaine and things like that are very much looked down and can ruin a person's career just to have the accusation thrown out against a person. And the police are pretty strict around that. There was a video game voice actor who was accused of doing cocaine, and they removed him from the game and pretty much retired him forever.
William Thomas Stead was a passenger on the Titanic.
So what, he's possessed himself in the past? Or he possessed someone who was doing automatic writing and forcing somebody to write these books in the past? There definitely is a time travel element to this.
He just wrote down what he saw with his own eyes.
Yeah, this is not logically following.
20 years before it happened.
So he saw the future from his own eyes.
Why don't we talk about this some other time, okay?
Yeah, this is the right response.
Huh? But...
Come on, let's get back to it.
Yeah. All I wanted was a rusty knife. We're really in trouble. I know I'm repeating myself, but this really is a futility moment. The blade is so rusty. Yeah, I know. We can't cut a thing with a knife like this. If we're gonna cut anything, we'll probably have to sharpen the knife. Let's see. Cheese. There's something behind the cheese. You're right. Well, we move some of the cheeses. Alright guys, time to move it. June and I need to look behind you. It's a little green bottle back there. Probably some kind of oil, which is not enough. It's cooking oil. Make something slippery. I'm gonna just assume that there's nothing else. See, it doesn't seem like you have to be as thorough. There's milk in here. Milk from an iron barrel. Judging by the rest, it's probably really old. Maybe we shouldn't open it. I don't think it'd be a pretty sight. Yeah. There's a level of thoroughness. But there's also a level of just not wanting to really deal with this. A lot of notes. I've got a bunch of stuff written on them, but it doesn't look like a code or anything. Well, thanks, game. Bolt is rested in place, it won't budge. Of course, maybe if I put some oil on it. Hey, just a little bit of oil and come on. Come on, you little SOB. Too much guessing here. Whoa, huh, yes, got you. You did it, Jumpy. You're so smart.
Oh, it's cold in here.
Alright.
What is this place?
That's clearly a walk-in freezer.
Are you blind?
And we got some more dialogue. And I guess we're gonna fall back into dialogue, so I guess this is where we're gonna have to end this recording. Apparently we did do one escape room and one novel section, and we're now in another escape room. Then we'll get a little bit of a novel section, and then we'll probably get a novel section again, and then a escape room. I would like to see it go novel, escape, novel, escape, novel, escape for the rest of the game. Let's see. I want to do a quick count here. 5 plus another 5 is 10. And then 2, 5, and then another 5 is 10, and then another 5 is 15. So once we're about to the bottom part of the screen here, we'll be halfway through the game as far as cubes exist. Of course, we're gonna have to really speed this up after the first playthrough if we're gonna try and see more content, because this is gonna be very slow. This is definitely acting very slow. And map wise, I guess now we can zoom in and we've got a whole like casino elements, and we can scroll around all of a sudden. So the central stairs are where we were, and then were we in this room? First class cabin? I don't recall being in this room. And so when you click on anything and then move with the left stick, it takes you out of that. Yeah, I don't think we were in that room. So that's odd that that can be clicked on. Yeah. We were definitely not in this section. Did I miss something? Then we were definitely in these rooms. And we are in this section right now. But then they've got this casino section that you can already see. So it definitely feels like there's only going to be some small sections we see. Also, I guess you could do a rough count here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, it seems kind of like there's only 12 to 24 rooms, and then over here where we've got what seems like another 18. So the fact that it was going up to a 90s number doesn't make a lot of sense. So it does feel like B93 and B92 is the wrong digits to use to mark those rooms, but I don't think that's going to matter, and I don't think those are going to be hints to anything, because if they were going to be hints to something, then they would be in the file, or at least you would hope they would be in the file, and they aren't. Well, that's going to be it for this recording, another hour and a half through. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to further follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.